Why do words have so much power over you? Think about it. Someone makes a comment, a look, a sarcastic tone, a post online, and suddenly your entire emotional state changes. Your heart rate shifts. Your mind replays the moment. You feel anger, embarrassment, resentment. But here's the uncomfortable question. Did they really hurt you? Or did you hurt yourself with your interpretation? The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Read that again. Not what happens, how you react. In today's world, offense has become automatic. Social media thrives on outrage. Workplaces are filled with fragile egos. Families fall apart over misunderstandings. Friendships end over tone. And most people never stop to question something dangerous. Why am I giving other people control over my inner state? Because every time you get offended, you hand over your emotional freedom. You allow someone else's words to dictate your peace. And here's the truth most people don't want to admit. Being offended feels justified. It feels righteous. It feels powerful. But in reality, it's a subtle form of weakness. And I don't say that to judge you. I say that because I've been there. We all have. Someone criticizes you and your ego rises to defend itself. Someone disagrees with you and you feel personally attacked. Someone disrespects you and your mind immediately looks for revenge, even if it's silent revenge. But what if I told you that the strongest person in the room is the one who cannot be emotionally hijacked? Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor who commanded the most powerful army in the world, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength, power over your mind, not over what people say, not over what they think, not over their opinions, just over your mind, and that changes everything." Because if you truly understand this, no insult can shake you, no criticism can destabilize you, no disrespect can control you. Imagine walking into any room knowing that no one there has the ability to disturb your inner peace. Imagine reading a negative comment and feeling nothing but clarity. Imagine someone trying to provoke you and failing completely. That is not passivity, that is mastery. And in this video, you're going to learn the ancient Stoic method for developing that mastery. Not suppression, not pretending you don't care, but genuine, disciplined emotional control. By the end of this video, you will understand why you get offended in the first place, why it has nothing to do with the other person, and how to reach a level of mental strength where offense simply loses its grip on you. But here's what most people miss. The problem isn't what others say. The problem is the meaning you attach to it. And once you see that clearly, you will never experience insults the same way again. So stay with me, because the final principle we'll discuss is the one that separates emotionally reactive people from emotionally unshakable ones. And once you understand it, no one will control your inner world again. Here is the first truth most people are not ready to hear. When you get offended, you are giving someone else authority over your emotional state, and you're doing it voluntarily. Think about a moment when someone criticized you at work. Maybe they questioned your competence. Maybe they dismissed your idea in a meeting. Maybe they made a subtle joke at your expense. What happened next? Your body reacted before your mind did. Your chest tightened. Your thoughts raced. You started building a defense in your head. You replayed the scene over and over again. But pause for a second. Did their words physically force you to feel that way? Or did you interpret their words and then generate the emotion yourself? This is where Stoicism becomes dangerous, in the best possible way. Epictetus taught what we now call the dichotomy of control. Some things are within your control and some things are not. What people say? Not in your control. Their tone? Not in your control. Their opinion of you? Not in your control. But your judgment about what they said? Fully in your control. And here is the invisible mistake most people make. They confuse external events with internal conclusions. Someone says, "You're not good at this." That's an external event. Your mind adds, "They don't respect me. I'm being attacked. I need to defend myself." That's an internal judgment. The offense is born in that second step, not in the words. in the meaning. And once you understand this, something shifts, because if the meaning comes from you, then so does the suffering. Let me make this practical. Imagine two people receive the exact same criticism from the same person. One becomes angry and resentful, the other listens calmly, extracts what's useful, and moves on. Same words, different reactions, different interpretations. So what changed? Not the event, the perception. This is why being offended is not proof of strength. It's proof that someone touched an unchecked belief inside you. It's proof that your emotional state is still dependent on external approval, and that dependency is dangerous, because the moment someone else can disturb your peace with a sentence, they control you. If this realization is hitting you right now, pause for a second and really let it sink in. Most people go their entire lives without recognizing this pattern. If this insight is already shifting your perspective, take 1 second and like this video. Not for me, but because the more people understand this principle, the less emotionally manipulated our world becomes. Now here's the deeper layer. When you get offended, what you're really protecting is your self-image, the version of yourself you want the world to see. Competent, intelligent, respected, strong. And when someone challenges that image, your ego reacts as if it's under attack. But here's the uncomfortable truth. If your identity were truly solid, words wouldn't shake it. A mountain doesn't argue with the wind. So ask yourself this question and answer it honestly. Why does this comment bother me so much? Is it because it's false, or because it threatens how I want to be perceived? This question alone can dissolve half your emotional reactions, because once you realize that no one can make you feel inferior without your agreement, you stop giving that agreement so easily. From this moment forward, start observing instead of reacting. The next time someone says something that could offend you, mentally step back and say, "This is just an external event. My judgment is optional." That pause is power, and most people never develop it, but you will. Now we need to go deeper, because if words don't have power on their own, and if interpretation creates the emotion, then what exactly is being threatened when you feel offended? The answer is uncomfortable. It's your ego, not your character, not your values, not your true self, your ego. The ego is the mental image you have of yourself, the identity you've built, the reputation you want to protect, the version of you that needs to be seen as competent, intelligent, attractive, respected, superior, or morally right. And when someone says something that clashes with that image, your ego reacts instantly. It feels like an attack. But here's the critical distinction. An attack on your ego is not the same as an attack on your character. Let me give you an analogy. If someone throws a stone at a mirror, the mirror shatters because it is fragile. But if someone throws that same stone at a mountain, nothing happens. The mountain doesn't argue, it doesn't defend itself, it doesn't feel insulted. So the real question becomes, are you reacting like a mirror or standing like a mountain? Most offense is a sign of internal insecurity, and this is not meant to shame you. It's meant to empower you. Because if the pain is coming from your ego, that means the solution is internal, not external. Think about this carefully. If someone calls you incompetent, and you know with absolute certainty that you are skilled, prepared, and capable, would that comment truly disturb you? Maybe it would annoy you slightly, but it wouldn't shake you. Now imagine someone criticizes you in an area where you secretly doubt yourself. Suddenly the comment hits deeper. It lingers. It replays in your mind. Why? Because it touched something you're not fully secure about. This is why offense can actually become a tool. Every time you feel offended, instead of reacting outwardly, ask yourself one powerful question. What part of me feels threatened right now? Is it pride? Is it insecurity? Is it the need to be validated? Is it the fear of not being respected? Marcus Aurelius wrote reminders to himself about this constantly. He understood that other people's words could only disturb him if he allowed his ego to interpret them as threats. And here's a liberating truth. If someone insults you and it's false, it doesn't apply to you. If it's true, then it's feedback. Either way, offense is unnecessary. Let that sink in. If it's false, ignore it. If it's true, improve it. So why get offended? Because the ego would rather defend its image than evolve. But evolution requires humility, and humility is strength. The strongest people are not the ones who win arguments. They are the ones who are not emotionally enslaved by them. So the next time you feel that surge of offense rising inside you, don't suppress it. Don't explode either. Observe it. See it for what it is, an ego reflex. And once you can see it clearly, you are no longer controlled by it. You are training yourself to become the mountain, and mountains are not moved by noise. Now let's expose another hidden trap. Most offense is not caused by what was said, but by the story you create about why it was said. Someone interrupts you in a meeting. You think, they don't respect me. Someone gives you short responses. You think, they're being passive-aggressive. Someone criticizes your work. You think, they're trying to undermine me. But pause for a second. Do you actually know their intention, or are you assuming it? This is one of the mind's most dangerous habits, mind reading. You assign motive without evidence, and once you assign a negative motive, your emotional reaction feels justified. But here's the truth. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself of constantly. Most people act out of ignorance, stress, insecurity, or misunderstanding, not malice. He wrote that when you wake up in the morning, you should expect to encounter people who are meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly, not because they are evil, but because they do not understand what is truly good. Read that carefully. Not evil, ignorant. That changes everything, because if someone acts from ignorance, is it logical to take it personally? Imagine someone steps on your foot in a crowded subway. You don't assume they woke up planning to attack you. You understand the environment, you understand the chaos, you move on. But when it comes to words, suddenly everything feels intentional. Why? Because the ego prefers a dramatic story. Let's make this practical. Your boss sends a short email. We need to talk. Immediately, your mind creates a narrative. I'm in trouble. They're disappointed. This is bad. Hours of stress, based on a story. Then the meeting happens, and it's about a new project. The suffering wasn't caused by reality. It was caused by assumption. This is the illusion of intent. And here's the Stoic shift. Instead of asking, why are they attacking me? Ask, what else could this mean? Maybe they're stressed. Maybe they're distracted. Maybe they communicate poorly. Maybe they didn't even realize how it sounded. When you replace assumption with curiosity, offense loses its fuel. And here's something even deeper. Even if someone did intend to offend you, why must you cooperate with their intention? If someone tries to provoke you and you remain composed, who holds the power? You do. Because provocation only works with participation. Let that sink in. No one can successfully insult you without your internal agreement. So the next time you feel offended, interrupt the automatic story. Pause and say, I do not know their full intention, and I refuse to invent one. That single mental shift can save you hours of anger, days of resentment, even years of unnecessary conflict. Most people react to imagined hostility. Few people respond to reality. And the Stoic chooses reality, not the story, not the assumption, not the ego-driven narrative, reality. And reality is often far less personal than you think. Now we move from understanding to discipline, because insight without practice changes nothing. You can know that offense comes from interpretation. You can understand that the ego is fragile. You can recognize that you assume intent and still react. Why? Because emotional control is not built in theory, it's built in training. This is where most people fail. They think calmness is a personality trait. It's not. It's a trained response. Strategic indifference is not apathy. It's not weakness. It's not suppressing emotions. It is the conscious decision to not give emotional energy to what does not deserve it. There's a massive difference. Apathetic people don't care because they're disconnected. Stoic individuals don't react because they're disciplined. One comes from numbness, the other comes from strength. So, how do you train this? Start with the pause, the space between stimulus and response. When someone says something provocative, your body reacts instantly. That first surge, that's biological. You can't stop the initial impulse, but you can stop the second step, the reaction. Viktor Frankl once said that between stimulus and response there is a space, and in that space lies your freedom. Most people never enter that space. They jump straight from emotion to reaction. Your job is to stretch that space. Here's a practical method. When you feel offended, say nothing, not immediately. Count slowly in your mind. 5 seconds, 10 seconds if necessary. Let the emotional wave peak and begin to fall. Because here's what most people don't realize. Emotions are temporary chemical surges. If you don't feed them with thoughts, they lose intensity quickly. Silence is power. The person trying to provoke you expects a reaction. When they don't get one, the dynamic shifts instantly. And even more importantly, you prove to yourself that you are in control. Another technique, delay your response. If it's a text message that triggers you, don't reply instantly. If it's an email, draft your response and reread it an hour later. If it's a confrontation, say, let me think about that. Time dissolves impulsive reactions, and calm responses command respect. Now I want you to turn this into a commitment. Write this in the comments right now. I choose not to be controlled, not because it sounds good, but because writing it makes it real. Or if you want to go deeper, share a recent situation where you reacted emotionally and how you could have handled it differently using this pause. This is how discipline begins, with awareness, with ownership, because the ultimate flex in a chaotic world is composure. Anyone can explode, anyone can argue, anyone can defend their pride, but very few can remain steady when tested. Strategic indifference is not about ignoring life. It's about choosing carefully what deserves your emotional investment, and most insults don't qualify. Now we reach the highest level, not just avoiding offense, not just controlling reactions, but transforming every insult into fuel. This is where Stoicism becomes a weapon for growth, because at the deepest level, nothing anyone says to you is useless. It is either noise or information, and your job is to decide which one it is. Most people waste energy trying to silence critics. The Stoic extracts value from them. Imagine someone says you're not disciplined. Your ego wants to respond immediately, to defend, to justify, to attack back. But the Stoic asks a different question. Is there even 1% truth in this? If the answer is no, discard it. If the answer is yes, improve it. Either way, you win. This is the mindset shift that makes you untouchable, because once you realize that criticism can refine you, offense loses its emotional charge. Seneca once suggested that we should treat insults like training weights. They build strength if you lift them correctly. And here's the irony. The people who try to offend you often become unconscious contributors to your growth. They reveal your blind spots, they expose your insecurities, they highlight areas you can strengthen. Your enemies can become your teachers, if your ego allows it. Let me tell you something powerful. The strongest leaders in history were criticized relentlessly, mocked, doubted, questioned. Yet they were not broken by words, they were sharpened by them, because when your sense of identity no longer depends on approval, you become dangerous in the best possible way. Unshakable. Think about this carefully. If no insult can disturb your peace, if no criticism can derail your focus, if no disrespect can provoke you into losing control, who can manipulate you? No one. When nothing offends you, Nothing controls you. That is freedom. And freedom is the ultimate power. So from this moment forward, see offense differently. It's not an attack. It's a test, not a wound, a mirror, not a threat, an opportunity. And if you're serious about building this level of mental strength, if you want to train your mind to operate above ego, above reaction, above emotional manipulation, then subscribe to this channel. Because here, we don't just talk about philosophy, we train discipline, we train perception, we train character. And character is built in moments like these. Remember this: weak minds react, average minds defend, strong minds observe, elite minds transform. Choose your level, and from now on, choose mastery. Let's bring this together. Being offended is not strength. It is attachment. Attachment to image, attachment to approval, attachment to ego. You learned that words don't control you. Your interpretation does. You saw that the ego is usually the one screaming, not your character. You understood that most offense is built on assumed intention. You discovered the power of the pause, the discipline of silence, the strength of delayed reaction, and finally, you saw that every insult can either weaken you or sharpen you. The difference? Choice. This is what Stoicism teaches at its core. You cannot control what people say. You cannot control what people think. You cannot control how people behave. But you can control your judgment, and that is enough. Because the moment you stop reacting automatically, you step into power. The moment you stop needing validation, you become stable. The moment you stop taking everything personally, you become free. Read that again. Freedom is not about controlling others. It's about not being controlled by them. So here's a final reflection for you. Who in your life has been controlling your emotions without even knowing it? And what would change if, starting today, their words no longer had access to your peace? Think about that, because this is not just philosophy. This is daily practice. The next time someone tries to provoke you, remember, pause, observe, detach, decide, and respond from strength, not ego. If this message resonated with you and you're committed to becoming mentally unshakable, stay connected. This channel is for those who choose discipline over drama, mastery over impulse, strength over fragility. Your mind is your territory. Guard it, train it, strengthen it, because when nothing offends you, no one controls you. And that is the art.